Today I want to show you how to get started with knitting, and I made a video so that everybody could see really up close. The first thing you're going to do is pick up your needles, and you're always going to put the needle with the yarn on it that you're knitting from into your left hand. I like to hold it with the needle kind of on my fingers like this, and then my thumb sort of on top. If I put my index finger right behind this first little stitch, then I can control what I'm doing a little bit better. So I have the needle resting in my hand, my left hand, and I've got it positioned so that that first little stitch is right under my index finger. Now what I'm going to do is look at that little stitch very carefully. What I notice is that there is a loop going around the needle, and there's another loop going across the bottom of the needle. So if you kind of look at it like this, it makes almost like a little X right there. So I'm looking right here and here, and that's my X. So X marks the spot, they say, so that's where I'm going to begin. To begin, I'm going to hold the other needle in my right hand, and I'm going to put it in right beside that little X. So I'm on the left side. See that little opening right there? I'm going to put it through, and then it's going to go right at the base of that stitch. Okay, let me show you one more time where that goes. So you put it right in here, right through that loop, and then the right hand needle goes underneath. Since my index finger is there, that can help hold the needle in place. The yarn, I'm going to give that a little tug. So see how I can hold both needles with one hand? Okay, then I'm going to give the yarn a little tug. It's kind of toward the back. And to make a knit stitch, we want to wrap the yarn around the back and then between the two needles. See how I did that? I'll do it one more time. So I go around the back and between the two needles. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a little tug until it comes down between the two needles, and then I'm going to hold it down with the finger, my index finger on my right hand. I'm going to slide it down, pull it through. That's my first stitch. And then I'll slide it off the end. Let me show you again. So the right hand needle is going to go right in that little opening and through. Then I'll take the yarn and wrap it around and between, pull it down, hold it with my index finger, that's my stitch, and then slip it off. This time I'm going to pause and give you time to do it along with me. Needle in, hold it with your left hand, yarn around the back, between the two needles, pull it down, hold it with your right index finger, and then pull it off. I'm going to repeat really slowly until I get to the end of the row. I'll stop talking and we'll just let this play. So if you're not sure what to do, you can just look up at any time and watch again. Now we're at the end of the first row that you've knit. To start your second row, you want to turn the needle over so that your working yarn, so the working yarn is the yarn that is attached to your ball of yarn. The working yarn is on the right side toward the point of your needle. You're holding that in your left hand. The yarn that you're working from is in the front. That's really important because if you don't keep it in the front, then you kind of risk adding another stitch when you start a new row. So the yarn is in the front. And again, we're going to go on the left side of the first stitch in that little opening, around, between, hold with your index finger, pull that stitch through. As you're doing each row, you'll get faster. What I'd like you to do is try to knit until you've used the entire ball of yarn that I gave you to practice with. You're going to want to count your stitches to make sure that you didn't lose any stitches or that you didn't add any by mistake. So as you can see, once you practice this, you'll be able to go a lot faster. Another thing that you'll notice probably is that I'm holding my yarn differently. As you get used to knitting, you'll figure out your own special way of holding your yarn so that you don't have to hold it each time with your index finger. That's a good way to learn to start, but as you get better at this, you'll figure out your own personal way of holding your yarn that works for you. Believe me, it will happen. It just takes a little time. When you're finished, I want you to count the stitches on your row. You should have 15 stitches. I started you with 15, and I want to see if you can maintain 15 stitches across the row. Enjoy knitting.